The story of the twins' father who was lynched when they were young casts a long shadow over their lives.
Yeah,
It's a stark reminder of the brutal history of racial violence in America
absolutely.
and how those events continue to shape the present. We see how that trauma influences Desiree's choices,
Right.
her desire to protect Jude from experiencing the same kind of hate.
Welcome to Witter. Who Has Time to Read? The podcast that brings deep dives for busy minds. Listen to AI hosts Jane and Dane and get ready to unpack the world's most captivating books in just a fraction of the time. Whether commuting, working out, or just squeezing in a quick break, we deliver key insights, thought-provoking themes, and takeaways you can carry into your day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Plus, use our links in the description to purchase this book. Your support helps us bring more engaging book discussions to you. Listen and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Who has time to read? You do, with Witter.
Welcome back to Witter, your shortcut to big ideas for busy minds.
Love it.
This month we're diving into Black Voices for Black History Month.
Right.
And today we're tackling Brit Bennett's The Vanishing Half.
Oh, interesting choice.
Imagine identical twins choosing radically different paths.
Okay.
One lives as black, the other passes as white.
It's a compelling premise that just hooks you right from the start. Bennett doesn't shy away from exploring the complexities of race, identity, and family.
Yeah.
And it's all in a way that feels both deeply personal and incredibly relevant to the broader Black experience.
It really does. Okay, so let's dive into the heart of the story.
All right.
We meet Stella and Desiree Vignes, light-skinned black twins who run away from their small, colorist Louisiana town called Mallard.
Oh, Mallard.
Yes. Desiree returns years later, a single mother with a dark-skinned daughter, but Stella vanished into the white world.
Gone. Severed all ties. It's fascinating how Bennett uses the twins' paths to explore the idea of passing.
Right.
It's not just about physical appearance. It's about the psychological and emotional toll of denying a part of yourself, of constantly living in fear of exposure.
Right.
Stella's choice raises questions about the societal forces that might lead someone to make such a decision.
Absolutely. It makes you think about the weight of societal expectations and the lengths people will go to in order to fit in or even to survive in a world that's often hostile to those who don't conform.
Absolutely. And this idea of survival is woven throughout the novel. Desiree, on the other hand, chooses to embrace her Blackness, returning to Mallard, a town obsessed with light skin. It's a defiant act, a rejection of the colorism that permeates her upbringing.
But even in her defiance, Desiree faces challenges.
Oh, of course.
She has a daughter, Jude, who is undeniably black.
Yes.
And Jude experiences racism in ways that Desiree never had to in Mallard.
Oh.
It underscores the idea that colorism exists within the black community and has very real consequences.
And that's where Bennett's exploration of the Black experience becomes so nuanced.
Yes.
She's not just presenting a monolithic view. She's showing the diversity of experiences within the Black community.
Right.
The different ways people navigate a world that often seeks to define them based on the color of their skin.
It's so true. So we have these parallel stories unfolding, each grappling with identity in a different way. And then Bennett introduces this intriguing character, Early Jones.
Yes.
He's hired to track down Stella.
Right.
But ends up becoming so much more than just a bounty hunter.
Early is such a complex character. He has his own forgotten family history and a growing connection with Desiree and Jude. His internal conflict about finding Stella adds another layer to the story.
Definitely.
He knows finding her could shatter the life Desiree has built and force both her and Jude to confront a past they might not be ready for. It speaks to the ripple effects of choices, how they impact not just individuals but entire families.
It's like a chain reaction, isn't it?
Yeah.
One decision can set off a whole series of events that reverberate through generations.
Absolutely.
And speaking of generations, the novel also explores the enduring impact of the past, particularly through the lens of race and trauma.
The story of the twins' father who was lynched when they were young casts a long shadow over their lives.
Yeah.
It's a stark reminder of the brutal history of racial violence in America.
Absolutely.
And how those events continue to shape the present. We see how that trauma influences Desiree's choices, her desire to protect Jude from experiencing the same kind of hate.
But it's not just the historical past that weighs on the characters.
Right.
It's also the personal past, the secrets and lies that families keep. Stella's decision to pass as white means constructing a whole new identity, a web of fabrications that she has to maintain at all costs.
And that secrecy comes at a price.
Oh, yeah.
It creates a distance between her and her daughter, Kennedy, who grows up completely unaware of her Black heritage. This raises questions about the consequences of denying a part of yourself.
Yeah.
Not just for yourself, but for the people you love.
Right.
How do you build genuine connections when you're living a lie?
Right. And how do you reconcile with your past when it's something you've tried so hard to erase?
It's a lot to unpack.
It is.
And Bennett doesn't shy away from the messiness of it all.
She doesn't.
There are no easy answers or simple resolutions. And that's where the setting of Mallard becomes so crucial to the story. It's not just a backdrop. It's a character in itself.
It is.
Shaping the lives of those who live there and those who try to escape.
Mallard is so vividly portrayed. You can practically feel the weight of tradition.
You really can.
The stifling atmosphere of a place where colorism is so deeply entrenched. Bennett doesn't shy away from depicting the ugliness of it.
Gee, that's...
the pettiness and the cruelty that can arise from these ingrained prejudices.
It's interesting, though, because Mallard isn't portrayed as simply a backwards or hateful place.
Right.
There's a sense of community, of shared history, even love.
Yes.
But it's all tangled up with this painful legacy of colorism and the trauma of racial violence.
It really makes you think about how these complex issues play out in real communities.
They do.
It's not always black and white. There are shades of gray,
right,
contradictions and complexities that defy easy categorization.
The novel also challenges the notion that race is a fixed, unchangeable category.
Yeah.
We see this through Jude, who finds a sense of belonging and acceptance within the LGBTQ plus community in California.
It's almost as if Jude is searching for a space where she can define herself on her own terms.
Yes.
Free from the constraints of race and the expectations of others.
And it speaks to the fluidity of identity.
Yes.
How our sense of self can evolve over time, influenced by our experiences and the communities we choose to be a part of. So, another theme that resonated with me was the exploration of motherhood. We see these very different approaches to mothering, from Desiree's fierce protectiveness of Jude to Stella's distance and secrets.
It raises a fascinating question about the ethics of mothering in a racially charged world.
Yeah.
Is Desiree's sheltering of Jude ultimately beneficial? Or does it limit her daughter's understanding of the world?
Right.
And can Stella, who has built her life on a foundation of lies, ever truly connect with her daughter?
It's a stark contrast. Desiree wants to shield Jude from the pain of racism,
right,
while Stella believes that assimilation is the key to a better life. Neither approach is without its flaws, which makes their choices all the more thought-provoking.
And it highlights the challenges that Black mothers face, the difficult decisions they have to make in a society that often devalues and endangers their children. The novel also explores the idea of family ties and the ways in which they can both bind us and tear us apart.
We see this most clearly in the relationship between the twins.
Of course.
Their bond is fractured by their choices, their divergent paths in life.
Yeah.
And yet there's this underlying sense of connection that can't be completely severed. They are, after all, two halves of the same whole.
Right.
It raises questions about the nature of family. Can blood ties truly be broken, even when there's distant secrets and radically different life experiences?
And even though the twins have chosen such different paths, their lives ultimately intersect in ways they never could have imagined.
They do.
Bringing their daughters Jude and Kennedy together in a collision of worlds.
That encounter forces both young women to confront uncomfortable truths about their families and themselves.
Yeah.
Kennedy, who has lived a life of privilege, shielded from the realities of race, suddenly has to grapple with her Black heritage.
It must be a shock.
And Jude has to face the reality of her aunt's choice, the lengths to which she went to escape the world they both came from. It's a powerful moment, and it speaks to the idea that the past is never truly past. It continues to influence our present, shaping our identities and relationships in profound ways. It's also a reminder that we don't exist in isolation. Our choices impact others, and the consequences can ripple outward in ways we may not anticipate.
Yeah, it's almost as if Bennett is suggesting that we're all interconnected, bound together by a shared history, whether we acknowledge it or not.
And that brings us back to this central question. What does it truly mean to be oneself? Is it about embracing your heritage, your history, the complexities of your identity?
Right.
Or is it about having the freedom to choose your own path, even if it means denying a part of who you are?
Yeah, it feels like The Vanishing Half is asking us to grapple with this tension between self-invention and the weight of our past.
It really reminds us that there are no easy answers.
Yeah.
It doesn't offer a neat resolution or a simple moral.
No.
Instead, we see the characters grappling with the consequences of their choices. Right.
The ripple effects that extend outward to touch the lives of others.
It's true. Take the ending, for example.
Yeah.
It's not a happily ever after kind of story. We see glimpses of where the characters land.
Right.
But there's a deliberate open-endedness.
Yes.
That invites us to imagine the possibilities, the long-term impact of those choices.
It's almost as if Bennett is saying that life is a journey, not a destination.
Right.
We're constantly evolving, changing, making choices that shape who we become. And those choices often have unforeseen consequences that we have to live with, learn from, and grow through.
I was particularly struck by the image of the twins as children.
Yes.
Witnessing the lynching of their father.
Oh, yes.
That single event casts such a long shadow over their lives.
It does.
Shaping their choices and perspectives in ways they may not even fully comprehend.
It's true. It's a stark reminder of the generational trauma of racism.
Yes.
How it can be passed down through families and communities,
influencing behaviors and beliefs for generations to come. It also raises questions about resilience, about how individuals and communities cope with such profound trauma and the ways in which it shapes their identities.
It's a lot to process, both for the characters and for us as readers.
Absolutely. And it speaks to the power of Bennett's writing.
It's done.
Her ability to weave together these complex themes in a way that feels both personal and universal.
The Vanishing Half is a novel that stays with you.
It really does.
It prompts reflection, challenges your assumptions, and encourages you to think more deeply about the world we live in and the choices we make.
It's a powerful testament to the enduring legacy of racism.
Absolutely.
The complexities of identity and the ever-evolving nature of family.
And it reminds us that even in the face of adversity and difficult choices, there's always hope for connection.
There is.
For understanding and for a future where we can embrace the fullness of who we are.
Beautifully put. That wraps up our deep dive into Brit Bennett's The Vanishing Half.
It does.
We hope you enjoyed exploring this powerful novel and that it sparks some new insights and perspectives.
Yes. As we continue celebrating Black voices this month, we encourage you to seek out other Black authors and engage with their work.
Absolutely.
There are so many incredible stories out there waiting to be discovered. Let's make Black History Month about more than just the well-known figures.
Yes.
Who are some other Black authors you think deserve wider recognition? Let us know. We might just feature them in a future deep dive.
We might.
Until next time, Witter listeners, keep those minds curious and keep reading.